Subscription boxes are everywhere, but are they actually worth your money? I'm Maggie, and on this channel, we put them to the test so you don't have to. Today, we're breaking down the best flowers for a long-distance relationship, and more importantly, how to use them in a way that actually means something instead of just sending a random bouquet and calling it a day. So let's set the scene, because if you're watching this, you're probably in it. You're in a long-distance relationship, you can't just show up with coffee or plan a last-minute date, and you're constantly looking for ways to feel a little more present in each other's lives. And that's where flowers come in. But not in the way most people think, because sending flowers once, it's nice, but it doesn't really solve the bigger problem, which is consistency and emotional connection over time. What actually makes flowers powerful in a long-distance relationship is the surprise factor and the consistency. It's the idea that something shows up at their door when they're not expecting it, and it reminds them of you in a really tangible, physical way. It's not a text, it's not a FaceTime, it's something they can see, smell, and experience. And that's what makes it hit differently. So instead of thinking, what bouquet should I send? The better question is, how do I make this feel intentional and ongoing? And that's where choosing the right type of flowers and how you send them matters way more than people actually realize. Let's start with the actual flowers themselves, because different styles send very different messages. If you want something romantic and classic, roses are the obvious go-to. They're timeless, they're recognizable, and they immediately signal romance. But the downside is they can feel a little bit predictable if that's all you ever send. If you want something that feels more personal and less expected, mixed bouquets are usually the better option. They feel more curated, more thoughtful, and less like you just clicked on the first thing on a website. These are great for everyday moments like thinking of you or miss you without it feeling overly formal. Then you have seasonal arrangements, which are honestly one of the most underrated options. Sending flowers that match the time of year, like bright spring florals or warmer fall tones, make it feel more connected to what they're experiencing in their day-to-day life. It shows a level of thoughtfulness that goes beyond just picking something pretty. Now, here's where most people stop, but this is actually where things start to get really effective, because the biggest upgrade you can make isn't switching flower types, it's switching from one-time deliveries to a subscription. A flower subscription completely changes the dynamic of a long-distance relationship, because instead of one big gesture, you're creating a pattern of small, meaningful moments. Imagine your partner getting flowers once a month or even every few weeks without you having to remember every single time. It becomes something they look forward to, it becomes part of their routine, and most importantly, it reinforces that connection consistently, not just on birthdays or anniversaries. And from your side, it's actually way easier. You set it up once, choose the frequency, and it just happens. You're not scrambling last minute or forgetting important dates. It removes friction while still delivering that emotional impact. Now, not all flower delivery services are created equal, especially when it comes to subscriptions. This is where you start to see a big difference in things like design, reliability, and overall experience. Some services use local florists, which can be great in theory, but it can also be really inconsistent. The arrangement might look completely different every time, delivery timing can vary, and you don't always know exactly what your partner is going to receive. The unpredictability can take away from the experience, especially when you're not there to see it yourself. Other services are more standardized, meaning what you see online is much closer to what actually gets delivered. This matters more than people think, because when you're sending a gift from a distance, you want to know it's going to feel intentional and well put together every time. This is why a lot of people end up gravitating towards options like urban stems, especially for long-distance relationships. The designs are more modern and curated, and they feel less generic and more like something you specifically chose. The packaging and presentation also play a big role. It feels like an actual gift when it arrives, not just a random delivery. And when you combine that with a subscription, it becomes a really strong system for staying connected. You're not just sending flowers, you're creating repeated moments that remind your partner you're thinking about them, even when you're not physically there. Another thing that makes a big difference is timing. In a long-distance relationship, timing is everything. A surprise delivery in the middle of a stressful week or on a random Tuesday can mean way more than something that arrives on a very predictable holiday. And when you have a subscription, you can plan around that. You can space deliveries in a way that feels intentional instead of reactive. You can also layer in personalization. Add a note, reference something specific going on in their life, or tie the flowers to a moment you've talked about. That's what takes it from nice gesture to something that feels really meaningful and personal. So if you're trying to figure out the best flowers for a long-distance relationship, it's not just about picking the prettiest bouquet. It's about choosing something that feels thoughtful, shows up consistently, and creates real emotional impact over time. Roses, mixed bouquets, and seasonal arrangements, they all have their space. But the real upgrade is turning it into something ongoing instead of a one-off. And if you want something that feels modern, reliable, and actually delivers on that experience, Urban Stems is one of the strongest options right now, especially when you use it as a subscription instead of a single order. That's it for today on Subscribe Boxer. If this saved you from overspending, consider subscribing. We promise we are a lower commitment than most subscriptions. See you next time.